happened in a court of silver flames? Part 2. Nesta starts training with a sword. Cashin shows Nesta how blades are made, and Nesta makes her own. Helion arrives at the night court. He says the soldiers weren't acting by themselves, but there doesn't seem to be any enchantments on them. Their minds are foggy. The blacksmith says Nesta's weapons are cursed. She seems to be putting her magic into the weapons she is making. The circle don't want to tell Nesta about this at first, but Fair insists. Eris is informed about his soldiers. Cashin tells Nesta about her magical weapons. Nesta is angry when she finds out that Rhysand and Amren voted against telling Nesta about this. Nesta confronts Amren. Fair intervenes, and Nesta tells Fair about the baby's wings and that Rhys and the rest have been keeping it a secret. Rhysand threatens to kill Nesta if she doesn't leave the court. Cashin takes Nesta away. Nesta refuses to speak for 2 days and then passes out from dehydration. Nesta and Cashin have an emotional chat. Cashin tells Nesta about his dead mother. Nesta trains again. Gwyn gives everyone a rapon to cut in half once their training is complete. Nesta is put into a trance by the priestess's music. She sees the harp, which she now knows is beneath the prison. Nesta and Cashin go to find it. Nesta goes through a rock and finds the harp, and has a vision of war. Brylin appears and traps Nesta in place. Nesta uses the harp to escape. A prisoner named Lanthes escapes and Nesta and Cashin have to fight him. Nesta runs and is charged by soldiers. Nesta heads back to Cashin and kills Lanthes with her sword. Cashin is injured and Nesta takes him back to the river house. Nesta fills Rhysand and Fair in on what went down in the prison. Rhys asks Nesta to dance with Eris in order to find out where his loyalties lie. Gwyn gives Nesta a book about their training, which is adorable. Nesta and Eris dance at the winter solstice ball. Cashin interrupts and dances with Nesta too. Eris asks to marry Nesta, and Rhys says he will speak to her. Cashin and Nesta head to the river house. Nesta apologizes to Ellen. Cashin gifts Nesta a music trapping device called a symphonia. They say they love each other. Cashin goes off for a snowball fight because that's a normal thing to do during tense times. It's apparently a tradition. Nesta, Gwyn, and Emery defeat the obstacle course that was set up by Cashin and Osriel. This was the Blood Rite qualifier. Nesta makes it up and down the stairs for the first time. Cashin takes Nesta to Starfall. A red star shoots across the sky. A bad omen. Fair's pregnancy is progressing. Nesta and Cashin meet with Eris, who admits his father went to Brylin's country a while back. Nesta declines Eris's proposal. Because it's weird. Cashin and Nesta go for a walk and have the whole mate conversation. Nesta refuses to admit that she and Cashin are mates. Nesta wants to spend some time away from Cashin because it's all a bit much. Nesta wakes up to a cold blade against her face. Cashin goes to Emery's place with Rhys. They realize the women aren't there. There's a male scent in the house, as well as blood. The 3 women are gone, presumably taken to participate in the Blood Rite. Nesta wakes up and sees a lot of warriors around her. They're all unconscious. She sets out to find her friends and comes across a knife, which shouldn't be allowed, but is. Eris is captured by Brylin and Cashin goes to get him. Nesta's friendship bracelet tells her to hurry. She's almost taken out by an arrow. She asks the shooter where her friends are. Nesta finds Emery unconscious in a river. Emery wakes up and the pair go looking for Gwyn. They come across 10 guys, and Emery is dragged away by her cousin Bellius. He seems to have a foggy brain too, like the soldiers had before. A creature attacks Bellius and the women run off. They reunite with Gwyn. The friends head to the pass of Enalius. They reach a bridge, and there are people to fight off. Gwen's leg is injured in the fight. They make it to the base of the mountain. Nesta and Emery want to stay behind with Gwen, and then they share stories and they decide to climb the mountain instead. Cassian and Osriel find Eris, who doesn't have a foggy brain because he's holding on to one of Nesta's magic weapons. Eris holds a knife to Cassian's chest. Belius and his team are pursuing the women. Nesta stays behind to fight Belius while Gwen and Emery head to the top of the mountain. Cassian and Osriel realize that Eris is being controlled by Bryalin. Kashii captures Cassian and takes him to Bryalin. Cassian is given some brain fog. Nesta sees her friends reach the top, and Belius attacks Nesta anyway. Nesta loses her sword. Nesta calls Cassian her mate in the middle of the fight. It's interrupted by Cassian and Bryalin. Cassian asks Nesta to kill him. Bryalin arranged for Nesta to be taken to the blood rite. Bryalin wants Nesta to trade the trove for Cassian. Bryalin tells Cassian to kill, and so he kills himself instead of Nesta. Nesta goes a bit wild and explodes at Bryalin, who is dissolved along with the crown. Mor and Osriel arrive while Nesta is cradling Cassian. They tell her something is wrong with Fair. Cassian doesn't die, so don't worry. Fair has been bleeding and the baby is in distress. Nesta uses the harp to help Fair give birth. The cauldron agrees to Nesta relinquishing her power in exchange for Fair and the baby's lives. The baby is called Nyx, because of course. Cassian and Nesta decide to get married. Eris tells Cassian that he was tortured by his own father.